Hi, I'm Chip Bizignaro with Cosentino, and I'm standing here in our Long Island Logistics Center. We have 31 of these centers throughout North America. We use these centers to inventory all the materials that Cosentino produces, like our latest innovation, Dekton Ultracompact surface panels. Now, earlier this year, the owner of this logistics center decided that he wanted to resurface the existing brick facade. The facade was pretty worn, and he was starting to have some maintenance challenges with it. So we worked with him to design an exterior rain screen assembly that featured Dekton panels. To do the installation, we worked with my friend Jonathan Tibbett here of Precision Stone. Jonathan, how are you doing?
Doing great.
Okay,
Thanks,
good.
Chip.
Tell me a little bit about what Precision Stone does.
So Chip, Precision Stone is a high-end stone contracting company that has been serving the New York metropolitan area for 31 years, and we specialize in facades.
So, Jonathan, this was the first time you worked with Dekton as an exterior facade product?
Absolutely. This was our first attempt at working with Dekton.
So what did you think about it?
It was spectacular. It was a spectacular experience. Very unique, offered all kind of opportunities that a lot of the other materials that we would have the opportunity to work with would not.
So it's interesting because we used sort of an adjustable depth system here. Especially for resurfacing an exterior facade like this. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, this was an interesting approach because we're working with an existing facade that was not in the best condition. So we needed to find a way to deal with all the inconsistencies of this facade and come up with a system that would allow us to do this. And the fact that we were using the Dekton panels that were, in some cases, that were over 10 feet tall by almost 5 feet wide, it created a lot of challenges for us.
What kind of challenges?
Well, first of all is to get the material plumb, to be able to be in a position that we can get it, rectilinear, and all these large pieces to align. And when you're dealing with inconsistencies in the existing substrate, that becomes a huge challenge. And by having this substrate attachment that allowed us to make up all those inconsistencies, we were able to accomplish what we needed to do.
So what would you say then was, frankly, the most challenging part about it? Was it getting the assembly plumb so that the panels could then just be hung?
Well, it started with surveying the existing facade to understand what the critical hard points are. And then from that, knowing what we had to build out, so we had to maintain certain rough to finish dimensions. And then, to start to understand how these large panels were going to engage this setting system. And once we got that all worked out, it was pretty much straight ahead from there.
So once you got that assembly put together, what kind of equipment did you use to actually hang the panels?
So what we did is, because the material has no porosity, so it allowed us to use a lifting device that is essentially used for glass. So this particular device is suction cups. We were able to attach that to our lull, which is our telescopic forklift. And that gave us the possibilities to lift this anywhere we needed to on the facade.
Wow, pretty good. How many people did you use to actually do the installation?
On this particular job, there was a minimum crew of 4.
4 people then, and I think you installed about 4,000 square feet here.
That's correct. It was about 4,000 feet, and if I remember correctly, it was about 170 panels.
170 panels, and the biggest one was about, was it the full 5x10 panel that we produced?
Yeah, I think the largest one was very close to 5 feet wide and over 10 feet tall.
Okay.
And that was the predominant size, actually, that we used on the building.
Okay.
Yes.
Which really works well when you look at the imagery of the panel and the way it interacts with some of the other materials on the facade.
Well, having done this now for 31 years, we've never had the opportunity to work with a panel so large. I mean, this is something that's absolutely unique to Dekton, and the fact that we're able to use a panel that's almost 10'6" by 5 feet wide by a ½ inch thick, this was something that was absolutely, for us, it was a game changer.
Time is money, so would you say that in terms of how long it took for you to install the facade, it installed similarly to other kinds of materials that you've put up?
No, this was much faster, and you can cover a lot more square footage based on the size of the panel. So once you have the horizontal and the vertical channels in place, everything is plumb. It really it's just as quickly as you can hang these large panels onto that assembly.
Okay, so field conditions are always different for every project that you work on. The material arrived prefabricated. But of course, there was some field fabrication that needed to happen. What did you think about that? How did that go, and what kind of equipment did you use for that?
Chip, that was actually, it was a lot easier than we had originally expected. The material, it cuts very easily. You can use typical stone cutting tools for all the penetrations that we needed to do for electrical outlets and water bibs. And ultimately it was really, it was not an issue whatsoever.
So Jonathan, we're here inside the beautiful showroom, and it really showcases a lot of the materials that we were talking about that are inventoried there in the back. One of the things I wanted to really talk about is the size of the panels here. And I'm about 5'10". These panels are a little over 10 feet tall, and I think inside here you really begin to get scope for just how large the panels are that you were talking about earlier. But to attach those panels then, what we've used here is a keel anchor type of system. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Exactly. Actually, let me show you on here. We can probably best demonstrate how
this is actually from the
This is an actual physical panel, part of a physical panel that was installed on the facade.
Okay.
So this shows based on that keel type anchor that you have there, we use that to fasten the actual clips to the panels.
Okay.
That ultimately we use to hang on to the horizontal and vertical channels.
Now typically on the top row you're going to have an adjustable screw, right, to adjust the leveling?
Exactly. Everyone other than the top course is used for lateral load, and the top course is holding your gravity load, which is also giving you that amount of adjustment.
Okay. And then also you have a set screw that you typically will fire in there to make sure they don't move.
Exactly. What happens is once you have the set screw used, it keeps the material from moving left to right.
Okay, fantastic.
So now you have your level adjustment, your plumb adjustment was done prior, and now you have your left to right adjustment.
Okay.
Every one of those is addressed.
Now you needed to do some field drilling for these anchors, right?
Absolutely. In some of the panels, we had to actually put some of the keel anchors into the back of the panel, and we did it right here on site.
Okay.
And it was not an issue whatsoever.
Well, Jonathan, listen, I love this facade. I think it came out great. I think your team did a wonderful job. I really appreciate everything that you did, and it's amazing to see the transformation from what was to what is today.
It was something that we enjoyed doing thoroughly, and we are absolutely positively sold on Dekton as a facade material.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.